Hello, everyone. Welcome to an ATG webinar about CTC tools. My name is Patrick Podeyn. I'm a technical specialist here at ATG, specifically located in the Phoenix office. And today we're going to beef up QA, troubleshoot, and automate with CTC tools. So a little bit about me. I have 7 years of working experience in the AEC industry, helping various architects and engineers, developing and helping them just produce better BIM overall. I also know Dynamo pretty well. I've been using Dynamo now for about 5-6 years, also utilizing that to help out architects and engineers produce better BIM. And there also is my Twitter handle. I do try to post on Twitter about some of my Dynamo workflows on there, so feel free to give me a follow and see what I'm working on. So kind of the learning objectives today: discover dimensions that have been faked and show how to correct those values. Show those dimensions that have been faked and deem them as either okay or something that we need to correct this. We're also going to look at a tool to help us find elements and it kind of gives a background as to why this element is hidden. We're also going to create sheets and then do some room occupancy stuff. And then also we're going to copy some parameters. So I'm not a person that likes to use PowerPoint that much, so let's kind of get into the live demo. So to start off, we're going to use the dim checker. So I have in here some pre-planned out dimensions that have been done wrong, either overridden, that sort of fashion. So we'll go into the CTC software tool. It is in the BIM Manager Suite, and it's under dim checker. So let me click on that, and it disappeared on me. So what this will do is it's going to allow us to kind of view those dimensions that have been overridden. If say somebody in the project has kind of, and I'll kind of do an example right here, does the replace with text thing. So if they did 21 feet dash 5 inches, right? And then so natively Revit won't allow you to do that, right? If we try to hit okay, it says no, you're not allowed to do that. Sometimes people will sneak in a period in there and then it's going to accept it. Depending on the scale that you're printing at, you might not see that all the time, but there are other tricky ways where it won't show a period. And so this tool is going to help us find that. So we can do two things when filtering. We can use the actual value or replace with text. For this example, we're going to just use the replace with text. And then also here you can isolate it via the text fields. If there's something above, below, left, or right, it'll find those as well and kind of filter them out. Also, you can include or exclude stuff that's been overridden. So say you're working on a project with existing conditions and you have a plus or minus dimension, you can have that in here as a plus or minus to have it ignore that. And then match case and then match all phrases. So we're going to use replace with text. We're going to hit search. It's going to highlight every single dimension string in our project that has been overridden with a replace with text. So I can see here there are some that have been replaced with the actual text value. And so I'm not going to show you how to do this because it's a very terrible way to do it. You definitely don't want to. But in those instances where people have found a way to do that, there's plenty of resources online that people can probably find to figure out how to do this. But we can see here that this one has been overridden. So the actual value is 8'8" and 27/128, and they've overridden it to 10 feet 0 inches. And so what you can do is you can double click it. Let me kind of minimize this down, and it's going to take you exactly to that dimension string all in your model. It also supplies the element ID for your use if you want to then select multiple of these guys to filter and then to figure out what are we going to do with them? Are we going to correct these? Are we going to highlight them for somebody else to look at? What are we going to do? So this basically just highlights it. So also too, this is active, so I can freely move around and select stuff while this is open. This is one of those add-ins where we can kind of freely do that. So one thing you could potentially do to kind of highlight this to your coworkers is you can simply just click it, right click, and then override viewing graphics by element, and then kind of just change the color to something that would stick out to somebody. So hit OK, it's going to turn red. And so when somebody's coming back through here, they can go, okay, what's going on here? This is red. I should probably ask someone what's going on. And so then they'll probably ask you. And then you can kind of tell them, hey, this has been overridden, or whatever other method you feel is necessary to let people know that they need to correct this and show the right value, and either A, move this left or right, or maybe you deem this as okay. You know, it's kind of up to your project. So as I mentioned before, we have some VIF, so like verified in field. So maybe we don't want to see those, and so we can exclude in here. So v.i.f. So I'm not going to click the match case. If I don't click match case, it's not going to care about it. It's just going to look for those characters in there. So if I hit search, those are then gone. So maybe verifying field dimensions that have that in there, maybe that's something you don't necessarily want to search for. You can have those excluded. And then use a new line for each search criteria. So we'll go to the next one. Say you don't want to look for the plus or minus, so you can do plus or minus. And then hit search, and then those are going to hide away. So this is going to find stuff that's been replaced with text values. You can see here sometimes people may try to put the dot in there and then put text over it. You'll find that. Now what this won't do is it won't catch if somebody's changed the tolerance of your dimensions. So if, for instance, someone has come in here and changed it to an 1/8 inch precision, and everything is adding up, and it's not going to highlight that that change in tolerance. So that's one of the things it's not going to highlight. It's only going to highlight elements or dimension strings that have been using the replace with text function. So that's dimension checker, kind of a quick way for somebody to kind of go through and maybe police the model a little bit to determine or find those dimensions that have been overridden, to either show a false dimension string value just because somebody was trying to get it out for a deadline or something like that. So pretty useful tool for quality control within your project. So the next one I want to go over is the Invisibility Finder, which is located in the BIM project suite. It's going to be this guy here. And so what this will do is it'll allow you to figure out why an element is not hidden, is hidden in a specific view, as well as kind of provide some sort of literature to tell you, why this happened, and how to correct it. So for this example, I'm going to use this furniture layout plan. So it's going to show my furniture, obviously. And so I kind of want to find those elements in here and kind of figure out why those are hidden. And so within Revit, there's roughly, I want to say 33 different ways to hide an element within a model, and kind of going through all 33 of those methods can be, a little mundane, can take some time for sure, especially if you have to go to the 33rd method, right? So this tool kind of runs through all of those for you real quickly. So we'll go into the Invisibility Advisor. We'll go ahead and open that up. And so in here, we have a couple of options. So we have virtually every element that's in our model, right? On level 1, the view that you're in. So you can filter it down if you know the category you're looking for. So like if you did furniture, it's going to filter down everything that is of that category, furniture, or you can get more specific and get into the naming of the actual family. Also, you could do a selection method, so select a group of objects and then filter it that way. For this method, we're going to use select element. And so how this works is you need one view where you can see that element, or if you know the element ID, you can input it in that way. Because sometimes you may not be able to find it at all within your project, but yet it exists somewhere in your model. But for this instance, we're going to use select element. So I'll hit select element, activate this view by clicking inside of it, and then I will click on one of these tables. So I have the table selected. And so I need to tell the target view. I need to tell it what view I want to see it in. It's going to be in my bad dims view. So we're going to click on that, hit find element, and then it's going to quickly run through kind of almost every scenario and kind of tell you, green kind of is like why it really is hidden. Gray is like, I think it's this one, I'm not sure, but if it's green, it's more than likely that. And so if you hit on more, it's going to tell you visibility graphic overrides, one of the most common methods for controlling object visibility. If the element has been turned off in VG for this view, it would not be visible. And so that kind of tells you what's going on. The show, other elements are going to be selected. So this is just a brief little warning that's telling you changes to this element might affect your document. We're going to hit OK. And so it's going to bring up your visibility graphics. And so it's going to bring up the visibility graphics for the view that you found the element in, to kind of tell you, okay, this is where you kind of need to be. So we know that we need to be in visibility graphics. So we come into our bad dims where we don't see it. We can hit VV or VG on our keyboard to bring up the visibility graphics. You can see here, furniture is turned off. If we check that, we're going to see all of our furniture pop up. Yay. So it'll kind of look for stuff like that. So I've also pre-programmed a couple other things in here to kind of help highlight other methods of hiding. So this one, I've overridden it to white. In this one, try not to do this in your models. This is kind of an evil way to hide something, in my opinion. So try not to do this, but if somebody does do this, Invisibility Finder or Invisibility Advisor will find it. So again, I'm going to be in this active view, select element. I want to see this element in this view. Kind of see it there highlighted. So bad dims, I'll hit find element, and it's going to tell me object style is overridden, override set to the background color. And so if you have a black background, you'll clearly be able to pick this one out. But if you run on a white background, you might not be able to see it. We're kind of able to see it because there's a hatch pattern there. If you don't have a hatch pattern, you might not be able to see it. And so this will kind of show you object styles are overridden. So if we hit more, the object style override cut or projection lines are set to match the Revit background. It's going to hide that element or appear as though it's invisible. So now actually we have a fix button here. So if we hit fix, it's going to show the element. So this is a nested family. And so with the nested family, these elements are not going to be selected. It's going to just pick on that main element. So if I actually click on here, override view and graphics by element, projection, if I click visible, it should show up. But this will find the elements that have been overridden to white or whatever background you have in your Revit file. So the next one, this one I feel is like a really common way to hide elements. And sometimes you may catch more things than you kind of want to. And so filtering is kind of the highest hierarchy in terms of controlling elements graphically. And so what I've done is I've programmed there's a filter in there that's looking for the comments, and it's looking for this parameter in here, and it's going to hide it in this view. And so Invisibility Advisor will find that and kind of tell you why and what's going on there. So if I do select element, I'll select on this, go to my floor plan, bad dims, find element. It's going to tell me that it's hidden. View filters are set to hide this element. It'll supply a definition as to why it's been hidden. And then the show will take you to kind of the filters part, and then the fix will fix it for you. So what that actually did, let me show you in my bad dims. So again, I said I had a filter. So if I go to filters, it was unchecked originally, and it just checked it for us. So it'll go through your visibility graphics and physically do that for you without you having to sort of navigate around. Maybe you have a view template in here and navigating into the view template and then going into the filters. That might take a little bit of time, so kind of does it for us quickly. So the next one, someone did an element hide. They needed to hide that specific element and that specific element only. This element hide I would recommend is kind of like the last means, like the last line of defense of trying to hide something. If say a filter or a turning off the category doesn't quite cut it, potentially use an element hide, but I'm going to fall back and say kind of go off based off your BIM manager's recommendations on, you know, I got to hide this element. I don't know how. How do I do it? But element hide is kind of like I would say is the last resort. So, and it will find that. So Invisibility Advisor again, select element, select this, add dims, we'll find, and it says object hidden in view. So to fix that, you know, you go to the reveal hidden and then unhide. We'll fix it. And it didn't unhide it for me. Let's go to, did it? It did, okay, it did unhide it. Again, this family has subfamilies in there, so it's hiding those also. Won't get into that right now. The next method that I kind of tend to see a lot too is people aren't really aware of what work set they're drawing on. I kind of created a hidden work set. This could fall under, say, someone's modeling on your consultant's work sets and it's turned off globally, and they're modeling in a view where it just happens to be turned on, and they're not seeing it in the other views that they want to see it in. This Invisibility Advisor will catch this method also. So again, Visibility Advisor, select element, select this, add dims, find element, and it'll tell us the associated work set is invisible, as well as the discipline does not allow a display of this element. So we hit fix there. It's going to show up for us. So if it shows two methods, kind of go through both methods and kind of see which one will unhide the element for you. So that's that one. So the next one is going to be more for annotation purposes. Most people tend to overlook this parameter that's located within the annotation, and it's the hide at scales coarser than. Most people tend to overlook this one. When I'm troubleshooting, this is one of those methods that I tend to overlook a lot when trying to find something, like say someone's lost their elevation in a specific view. It's either a filter or the category's turned off, but more times than not, what I found is it's going to be this. When someone started playing around with this, didn't know what it was controlling, and then now they can't see it in another view. So Invisibility Advisor will find this. So we'll click on that, select element, click it, go to bad dims, and then find element. It's going to kind of run through it. Sometimes it may take a little while to find out why, and so it's going to say the element is hidden in the view scale. And this will kind of briefly go over the scale at coarser than method, and kind of just tell you what's going on there. So if we hit fix, it's going to set it to the right one, and we're good to go. Let's go back to Revit. Lost my Revit. So this next one is, I don't know if you'll ever run into this case, but sometimes the obscurity of a floor or something solid will hide something that's kind of modeled below it. And so Invisibility Advisor will kind of find that method for us also. So again, back into here, select element, select this guy, that dims, find element. It's going to tell us the element obscured by model elements in view. So maybe you have a view where the cut plane is a little bit too high and you have elements modeled right below it, and you're not able to see it, but you're able to see it in one view. This method will help you with that. So that's kind of the Invisibility Advisor. Kind of some things that it does not find. If something's phased on the wrong phase, it's not going to particularly find that one. Same thing with design options. It's not going to look to that method because it's not really it's kind of a way to hide something, but not necessarily. And so that's an Invisibility Advisor. So for the next one, we're going to be looking at the spreadsheet link. So let me drag this over here. Save, relinquish. So for this one, I was looking for a way to quickly figure out how to set the occupancy for a room. And so I believe it's Revit 2018. They came out with you can now do calculations within tags. And so this kind of brought up a really cool feature that allowed people to then start calculating the room occupancy. So the example I'm going to be showing today is kind of taking the room occupancy per occupant parameter and kind of throwing it into here, right? So then it's going to calculate the amount of occupants per room. So we're going to kind of do that quickly and automated. So natively or manual way is you would have to select each and every room and then look at this and then put in the number in there in order to get it to work. Or maybe you actually did the mathematics to then put it into there. But I'm lazy and I like to find the fastest way to do something. And CTC Tools Spreadsheet Link kind of offers that. But kind of before I go through that, kind of want to run through real quickly how I created this process. So first I created a key schedule that was using, that kind of built up the occupancy parameters that you see in there. So this is going to be the parameter that people will get to choose from. So they get to choose what type of occupancy that the room is going to be, and then it'll start to apply these parameters to there. If you've used occupancy or key schedules at all, it sucks because we can't put shared parameters in here. If we could put shared parameters in here, then the CTC tool part would not necessarily be needed, because we could do all of our calculations within our room tag, all with the shared parameter. So let's go back to our rooms or our floor plan. So in here, I have a shared parameter in here called Occupancy Calculator that's applied to the rooms as well as applied to our room tag. So if I hit edit family here, I'll click on this to preview visibility. So I have my calculated occupancy. If I click on that, click here, I can look at my calculated parameter. And so in here, it's going to do all of our calculating for us. And so kind of here's the formula that you would want to use to start calculating it. So I'm going to round up. Maybe you round up. I've seen some cases where the roundup happens at the end where everything's totaled up, kind of up to you and what you need to do. So after that, we need to actually get rid of the units. So we need to get rid of the square foot units out of area. And so by simple mathematics, we take the area, which is in square feet, divide it by square feet. It's going to remove the units for us. Then after that, it's going to divide it by our occupancy calculator, which is our shared parameter. And that's why it needs to be a shared parameter. So it'll read between the family and the actual project itself. So let me go back into the project. And so that's how that works. So we're going to be lazy and we're going to use our CTC tool spreadsheet link to do it. And I have my room schedule built out here. So let's get into it. So the spreadsheet link is located in the project suite, spreadsheet link. So we'll kind of click on this. It's going to bring up kind of two views for you. It's going to bring up this sort of selector where you can then select kind of what you want. You can pick specific categories to start playing around with. You can click on specific types if you want to mess around with specific element types. You can do that there. And then all your schedules. So for this one, we want the room schedule. So I'm going to bring over the room schedule with this button. These are all the available parameters in here that you can mess around with. The gray ones are kind of default parameters that are within the project that are kind of, you can look at them, you can mess around with them a little bit. But for this example, we're going to be basically copying this value into here. And so the parameter that I made for the occupancy calculator is actually a number parameter. So what I need to do first is I need to remove the units out of here. I'm not going to do a formula of any sort. I'm going to actually they've supplied us with a button to do that. So hide unit symbol, it's going to hide the units for us. Let me minimize this a little bit. I want to exit. So if you're a fan of Excel, you're going to love the spreadsheet link. So what you can do is you can start plugging in formulas that you would in Excel into here. So if I do equals, click on this row, it's going to mimic it. If I hit tab, it's going to do that. And then again, if you love Excel, you can then drag this down. It's going to copy that same formula over to all these. And so I'm going to drag all the way down to the bottom, and it's going to copy these over for me. Isn't that lovely? So not only can you use this for rooms, I'm pretty sure you can use this for a lot of other things as well. So if I hit apply, active work set, it's going to say, do you want to apply the values? Of course I do. We're going to hit yes. 91 elements are updated. Going to hit close there, close this one out, lost Revit, bring back Revit, close this. It's going to ask you to save. You can save your settings if you want to kind of come back to this. This is one of those add-ins where you need to be closed out of it in order to sort of access Revit. For this one, I'm going to hit no. And then I can see there all of those values have been copied over, all of them. Also, you can see here my occupant room tag, those have all updated also. So I just did roughly 91 rooms in a matter of seconds. And then if we go back to our occupancy floor plan, we can kind of verify that, yep, it's been done for us. You can kind of see all those there. So kind of a really, really fast way to sort of automate that room occupancy thing, which at times can be really, really mundane and kind of not a fun thing to do. You can use this also to do like your door hardware schedule if you want to, or calculating the something in your project. So that's the room occupancy part. Next, we're going to create sheets. So working on a project, our consultants, our MEP consultant is in AutoCAD, and we need to create their sheets in our file in order to display it properly within our view list, or sheet list, sorry. So in here, I have my sheet list from my consultant for the sheets that they're going to need within their project. So again, I'm going to use CTC tools, Spreadsheet Link. And then in here, I can navigate down to the category sheets. I'm going to hit the letter S, go to sheets, click over, and it's going to bring in all those sheets. Now, what was the order? Number, name. So I need the sheet number first, and then the sheet name. Gonna click on this guy over. And so how many do I need? I need 25 of them. And then I'm also going to, what you can do is you can copy paste the information from Excel and paste it into the spreadsheet link. So I'm going to hit copy, go back into Revit, spreadsheet link. So before you do this, you need to actually create the elements pre-baked before you actually can copy everything in there. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So if we go to the create tool, we can do create new sheets. You can also create parameters if you like. We're going to do create new sheets. We need, what was it, 25? 25. And then you pick the title block you want. We're going to hit create. Now what we can do from here, again, if you're a fan of Excel, you can click on the one cell here, Control V, and it's going to paste all of that information in there for you. If we go apply and do active worksheet, it's going to apply it. Yes, 25 created. We're going to hit close here, close there, close. Again, if you want to save it, you can. I'm going to hit no. And then you can see here, it created all of those sheets for us. So a really quick and easy way for you to create sheets within your project. If say you have a consultant that's in AutoCAD, or maybe you need to create a bunch of sheets for a bunch of levels that you have in your file that require a bunch of areas. You can create all of those real quickly with the CTC tool, create spreadsheet link, and then creating sheets. So for this last example, what I'm going to do is kind of copy and paste a parameter from one, or copy values from one parameter and paste them into another. So I'm going to go to this 3D view real quick. And then if you know, you cannot filter for the phase created parameter. Not possible. So what we have to do is we have to paste this, copy this information and paste it somewhere where we want. For this example, I'm going to paste it all into comments, and I'm going to focus just on the walls right now. You can also use this in an example where maybe you weren't aware and you're just putting stuff within the comments, and then later find out you probably should have created a project parameter for that. And now you have 100 elements that you need to get that information from comments and now put it into that new parameter. you can do so with the spreadsheet link. So we go to CTC Tools, go to the Spreadsheet link, click on that. It's going to bring this up again. We're going to go down to Walls. We're going to bring over Walls. For this one, I like to bring over the type name. Where is it? There it is, type name, phase created, and I'm going to paste all that information in the comments. I'm going to minimize this. Again, if you remember correctly, and if you love Excel, you can do equals that cell. Again, I can drag this down to copy that formula to all of these cells here. There's a lot of walls in here. I'm going to copy them down to here, and it's going to copy that in there for me. So really quickly, real quick way to kind of copy and paste parameter values from one into another. And so I'm going to click Apply, Active Work Set, and hit Yes here. It's going to change 39 elements. Hit Close, lost Revit again. And then you can see here, it's going to then do that. So I have a filter built in here that's looking at the two parameters, looking at the new construction and coloring it one thing, and then existing and coloring it another thing. So that's kind of the copy and paste. You can use that for kind of a number of things. Also, a quick little tidbit, if you're using Revit 2020 and you started using this, you started seeing this thing in your project and you're wondering, how in the world do I hide it? You can go to Visibility Graphics. You can go to Site. You can turn off the, where is it? Internal origin. If you hit that, bye-bye, it's gone. So really quick way to hide that. So that's kind of it for the CTC tools. Also, again, thank you for coming to this webinar about CTC tools. Hope I provided some useful information for you to take back to your firm to either use and get the CTC tools, or maybe you have CTC tools and you're wondering what other capabilities were available with these tools. I hope I have empowered some sort of extra knowledge.